Look, I'm a Dave baby.
What?
No, I'm not Dave Ramsey's kid, but I grew up hearing him on the radio. My dad listened to him, and while I was growing up, he instilled a lot of his principles.
My principles! We're talking about my principles!
I didn't think much about Dave while I was in college, but after attending a very expensive private college and seeing the amount of debt that I had accumulated, over those 4 years, I quickly remembered the terrible things that I would hear about debt from Dave on the radio and why you need to kick them to the curb as fast as possible. So in this video today, I want to take a look at a few of Dave's kind of, major points that he makes on his radio show, his YouTube channel, wherever you can hear him, maybe even in his books. I'll then share, the gym class finance position on it.
Sounds good.
And with that said, I'd love to hear what you think.
Thoughts?
Drop your opinion in the comments below and I'll be sure to respond to you. All right, let's get into it. We have to start out with the baby steps. Now, these are the steps that Dave recommends all the time on his show and his class to reach financial peace. Now, let me just briefly mention each of those. First, in step 1, you have save $1,000 in a beginner emergency fund. Step 2, pay off all debt except for the house. Step 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies. Step 4, invest 15% of your income for retirement. Step 5, save for college for your children. Step 6, pay off your house. And step 7, build wealth and give. All right, so let's first start off with the first 3 steps because I completely agree with each of them. So step 1, you just want to have a little money available in case something comes up. And then step 2, you want to attack your debt with what he says is gazelle intensity. Remember, we're not talking about a mortgage here. And then in step 3, you want to actually get an emergency fund with a little bit of, substance, something that can really help you. Something you can really lean on when, life happens. Now let's stop at step 4. I agree, invest 15% of your income for retirement. I would just add 2 words to it, or more is what I would add to it. I don't want people to just stop at 15%. If you can do 20, do 20. If you can do 30%, do 30%. Everyone is different. Everyone has different financial situations. So if you can afford it, do it. You're not gonna regret a bigger, pile of cash at retirement. Or better yet, being able to retire 10 years earlier than you expected. And then back to baby steps 5, 6, and 7, and I completely agree with them. Step 5, it's really important to put money away in a 529. I wish I could do a lot more than I have, but just do what you can. Step 6, pay off your house. I realize you may, disagree with that one because your interest rate is so low. I get that, but do you realize the giving and investing and fun you can have without a mortgage payment? It's incredible. I don't know yet, but I think it will be. Step 7, build wealth and give. This is really the exciting one. This is a step that, you're waiting on. I am really excited about and can't wait for. So as you can see, I'm pretty much in full agreement of the baby steps. I would just add those 2 words to step 4, but that's it. All right, on to the next financial piece from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's advice for buying a new home is to limit your monthly mortgage payment, including homeowners insurance, homeowners association fees, and property taxes, to 25% or less of your monthly take-home pay on a 15-year fixed rate loan. Now, in a perfect world or situation, this would be amazing. This would be great to be able to do. I know in my world and in most people's current worlds, this is impossible. And I'm mainly talking about that last part of what I mentioned. I'm on board with the 25%, but would be okay with 30% or less for your monthly mortgage payment. The part that I like, but I don't think is really realistic, is the 15-year fixed rate loan. And here's why. I'm not really, good at math, but I did a little math on this. The difference in monthly payment on a $300K house between a 15 and 30-year fixed rate loan is more than $600 a month, and that's with 20% down. Just a little side note, I like 20%, that's what we did. I know Dave has kind of come down on that. He used to say put 20% down, but he has kind of come down on that. Back to that $600 a month piece, yes, you save a ton of money cutting 15 years off, but I know That's not something I could afford with my budget. If you stick with the 30-year and really, just want to pay it off, you have the option to do so by paying more each month if you'd like. So in summary, I'm not saying that it's not a good idea to get a 15-year, but I just don't think it's realistic. Don't hate me, Dave. Dave Ramsey's next piece of advice is to never ever use credit cards. In fact, if you already have them, even if you're paying them in full, cut them up, pay them off, and close the account forever. That's Dave saying that. One thing you have to understand is that Dave doesn't have much of a platform really to stand on if he isn't cutthroat on credit cards. The reason he says this is because he believes in absolutely no debt besides your mortgage. He also knows that most consumers struggle to pay off their credit cards each month. So once again, I do agree with what some would say is a pretty harsh statement, but I do use credit cards myself. I use them, but never carry a balance, always pay them off. I like the rewards from Amazon or airlines that we get with our credit cards, whereas Dave would disagree. He would say that the amount of points that you're really gonna earn with a credit card isn't gonna be worth it, and it's not really gonna build wealth. Whether you agree with me or whether you agree with Dave, make sure you always pay off your cards and never use one with an annual fee. Next on our list of Dave Ramsey's principles is term life is the only life insurance policy you should get. We recommend you purchase a term life insurance policy worth 10 to 12 times your annual income. That way your income will be replaced if something happens to you. I'm not going to spend much time on this one. I am in full agreement, and this is actually something we have done. It was actually super easy to qualify for term. Insurance is not an investment, unlike many insurance agents are probably going to want to tell you. So instead of using it as a savings or investment account with whole life, pay your yearly amount for term, which is a fraction of the cost of whole. The idea is that a 30-year-old on a 30-year plan will be 60 when it runs out. By that time, you shouldn't need insurance because your nest egg will be enough. This will be the case that someone in your family passes and you will need to rely on their income. On to our last Dave Ramsey principle, and that is using the debt snowball method to pay off your debt. With the debt snowball method, list your debts from smallest to largest and put all of the extra money you can scrape together each month toward paying off that smallest debt. Then once you have paid the smallest debt, work aggressively to pay off the second smallest debt, and then work to pay off the third smallest debt once you've had that paid. The reason Dave recommends paying off your debts from smallest to largest is that as you pay off small debts, you really gain momentum and motivation really to continue to work toward becoming totally debt-free. Now the other option is the avalanche method. This one's gonna make more mathematical sense. But personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% knowledge. The debt avalanche tackles the highest interest debt. Hence it makes more mathematical sense. But I have to once again agree with Dave. I would choose the snowball method over the avalanche if I had to make the decision. So after looking at each of these Dave Ramsey pieces of advice or, financial principles, I am very much in alignment with Dave, with the exception of maybe my view on credit cards. Where do you guys stand on these topics around personal finance? Definitely let me know in the comments below. And I want to thank you so much for checking out my channel. Don't forget to come back, and you can do that by subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.